Hello everyone. So today I'm going to do a little video to show you what it looks like doing these guidelines for sewing masks. This was put out by Middlesex Health about a week ago, and hang on one second, I'm going to show you what we've got here. So this particular mask is not one that is recommended for going over like a surgical mask or something like that, and actually Middlesex Health has taken these particular instructions down since posting them. But I think if you're looking for something for quick personal use, or maybe work at a nonprofit that isn't, maybe you're in the healthcare field still working with patients or clients, and are looking for something for just a little bit of extra barrier for yourself. So the first instruction is to cut 9x6 rectangles, and then put them with the two right sides facing each other, like so. Oops. Like that. You will also need to have some elastic. I didn't have the particular kind of elastic that was requested in the instructions. Mine was actually double the thickness. So what I've done is knotted it after cutting it to the length, and then I ran it through my sewing machine to make it a bit narrower. So I'm going to take care of this one now at my machine. Okay, so now I've got my two ribbon or elastic ready to go. And so now we can start sewing the rectangle together. So I'm going to line that up on my machine. It recommends starting on the bottom side, which I think is that, yeah, we'll use that as the bottom side, about halfway, at about the halfway point. So I'm going to take care of sewing that to almost the corner now. Okay, now that I'm at almost the corner, I'm going to try to do this one-handed, or at least give you an idea. So what you want to do is make sure that you're sewing this. It'll say in the instructions, so attached to the corners, which I took a little too literally the first 3 times that I did it. So here's what you need to do is you need to kind of fold this top layer back, which is so hard to do one-handed. Okay, and then so here's your elastic. There's just a couple extra because I'm going to finish sewing it up after it's attached at the very end. So I have the little foot or the little taggy, whatever you want to call it, where the knot ends out. I'm going to kind of hold it in place there and fold this back over it to sandwich it in. And you'll want the rest of the elastic pointing in towards the center of the fabric. If you do it out this way, you'll make my mistake and you will end up trapping your elastic inside the pillow when you turn the fabric right side out. So put the little taggy sticking out just a bit, close that top fabric over it, and then when you use your machine to sew it, I recommend going back and forth 2 times to just kind of secure its fastening. So I'm going to take care of that now. Okay, so after that, I am going to change the direction. So I'm going to turn my fabric, and I want to make sure that I'm lining this up straight so that it doesn't become twisted when it's fastened at the other end. So there, and I'm just going to make sure you get the string out of the way. And you don't have to worry about pinning. I don't pin it in place just yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this back down, as long as nothing's in the way. So down this seam to about maybe 1 inch to go from the bottom so that I could attach the other end of the elastic that's inside there. Okay, so now that I've gotten down a little closer, I've already sandwiched this one in so you could see kind of what it looks like. At that end, I put a little bit too much of the knot out, so it was a little hard to sew over, but just try to help that fabric move along. Also, just a side note, if you can't tell already, I'm a pretty amateur sewer, so maybe this will be helpful for other people out there that just do it like a hobby, like I do, just on the side. So I'm going to fasten that, go back and forth a couple of times, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so now I've turned my fabric and this is the top of the mask. So I'm going to do the same sort of thing I did on the bottom, except instead of only going halfway, I'm going to go all the way down almost, so that I could then attach the elastic just like I did before. I'm not going to show that on the video. It's just basically repeating what you did on the first side. Put the elastic so that the little foot or tag is sticking out. The rest of the elastic will go along the inside. After you've attached here, sew down. When you get to about an inch or so, put the little tag or foot out, attach it there, and then I will pick up to show you where I go from there. Okay, so I've gone down this side, attaching the elastic along the inner part. So now you are back at your bottom. Where you started is down here. So I turned my fabric at the corner, and you're going to sew down until there's just about an inch or so, inch and a half of a gap, because you're going to need space in order to turn your mask inside out. Okay, so this is where we've got our gap. And yep, I've raised my, so I'm going to pull away from my machine and trim it just a little. Okay, so now you're going to, just like if you sewed a pillow or something, you're going to turn the fabric right side out, pushing it through its hole. If you need a pencil, the eraser end of a pencil or something to help push it through, you can. Otherwise, just, yeah, I'm going to take care of that and then show you the finishing touches. You're almost done. All right, it's right side out. So make sure that you're going to like pull at the corners of the elastic to make sure that they're taut and you're not leaving any part of your mask inside. Okay, so here what you're going to do next is we're going to sew around the edge of the entire mask twice. But before you do that, in the directions it says to make 3 tucks on each side going in the same direction. I think I'll use this as the front, I guess. My particular directions that I was going off of did not leave any kind of instruction as to where or how big to make those tucks. So I'm just going to, I've just been kind of estimating. I'm sorry, it's hard to do while holding. My kids are up playing. They gave me a quiet moment for a bit. So but no one is here to help me film. I don't have any kind of tripod. This is very spur of the moment. So to do the tuck, I kind of just pinch it up and fold it over like that, trying to line it up. There, like that. And then I will take a pin and pin it, and then I'll repeat that process twice. So again, I just pick up and pinch, fold it over, and kind of crease it to lie it flat. That maybe there's a different way to do a tuck. This is just kind of what I figured out intuitively, but if there's a better way, please leave it in the comments, or any of this. If there's any tips you have, please comment below. So I'll make those 3 tucks and show you what it looks like pinned. Okay, so here are the 3 tucks pinned. You could see the difference over here. It just makes it really wide and flat, and the tucks help bring a little bit more shape to it where it would gather over someone's face for that part of the mask. So before I put it on the machine to sew around, I'm going to do 3 tucks facing in the same direction. So I'm going to pinch and pull downward toward the bottom of the fabric on this side, and I will pin those and then give you a little insight as to sewing around the edges twice. Okay, so now both sides have 3 tucks, and I learned from doing it after my first 2 of these that I was kind of nervous that, oh no, they're not exactly even. But I found that at least maybe it's my technique or the way I sew it, it doesn't end up making a big difference, and they end up kind of evening out in the end. So you can kind of like force the fabric if you need to pull the tuck a little bit more on one side as you're sewing it. You can make that call as you see fit. So then what you do is you will line it up in your machine. Which may be tricky to do one-handed. But anyway, yep, there you go. So you line it up in your machine. You'll make sure that you pinch that hole. There's a little hole here where you turn it inside out. Make sure to just pinch the fabric. Well, you could pin it if you want to, but pinch it so that it's sealing that as you sew. So I sew down across the bottom, up over the tuck side. I leave the pins in for both rounds, and then I go up and around, and then one time around again. Zip, 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 zip. And then after that, you should be done. So I'll just show you what that's going to look like. One last little tip before I get started. So because of the thickness of the knot and the elastic, at least with my particular machine, what I end up doing is I have to really just make sure I'm pulling that fabric through as it's going over the parts of the elastic. And if I need to, adjust and lift your foot as necessary. But yeah, here it goes. Okay, so that's one time around. And we're just going to do that one more time. Okay, so just going to take the pins out. On each side. And you have sewn a mask. Woohoo! Now there are straggly threads, especially there may be extras on mine because you may not have had to sew your elastic in half, which I just saved the finishing all for the end because it just seems to work better for me that way. That way I could just focus on one task at a time, sort of thing. But now you can just find your ends, find the back of your piece and knot it off and finish it up. And I'll show you what mine looks like when it's done. And here is the finished mask. Goodness. It's a little bit lopsided, honestly, but hopefully that's okay. I think I was not doing it in my very best because I was trying to make the video too. But so there you go. Happy mask making, and just remember to stay home, stay safe out there, and yeah, just thanks for doing whatever it is that you can on any day to help spread joy and kindness out there.